Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the live trading room. I've missed you guys. It's Monday. We're finally back. And missed you, Victor. Missed you as well. How you doing, Victor?
Hi there, everyone. Hi, Jonatan. Yes, it's been a great weekend. I hope for you all at home as well. We have indeed a fresh new week. Today is the 14th of October. Let's hit the markets.
Let's do it. So guys, I always do my weekly trade planning, market scanning on Sundays, but I don't know, like I'm trying to restructure that approach, and I'm trying to see if I'm gonna see now how many trades am I missing out on Monday morning if I do my market scanning on Monday instead, because I really like the idea of now working on Saturdays and Sundays, because it's time that we'll never get back, and if, for those of you watching, if you got kids, you can probably relate. I mean, working instead of spending time with your kids, your family, that's time you're never going to get back, and that's what money and work is. I mean, it's basically exchanging time for money. So I'm thinking, I'm looking at ways on how I can restructure that and do it on Monday as well. So that's what I tried to do today, and yeah, it did not go very well. So I think having a routine is, I mean, it's something that really helped me. It really helps me, and I haven't figured out how to start that routine on Monday. So today I haven't actually been, I haven't had the time to go through the markets and plan my trading, because I've got a lot of other things that I had to work on. So yeah, it's something to think about. It's definitely part of that trading a trader's life, to be able to put up with the create the routines and habits that will help you as a trader. And Victor, you don't really do your you don't do your trade planning on weekends, right? You react to price in a different way, right?
Yes, for different reasons. One is of course my entry setups are much more lower time frame, right? So I have my structures on the H4, which may or may not include daily structures, which those you could do easily on the weekends. But it's on the H4, H2, H1, which of course on the weekend it's not ready yet. Even there's not a lot to do. So and not only that, my back tested data. Actually, all the data that I have is based on trading a certain specific time period during the day. So it does not make sense, because between the early Asian session on Monday may change things completely. So it's only relevant for me to analyze right at the before I start trading, not days ahead. But I agree with you that we typically think of traders as people who are participating in the financial market, but in general, everyone is a trader, right? We're a trader of time. We're trading time for payout, for salary, or so we have to think about it. How do you want to how to be efficient with that trade? And by trade, I mean the time that we're trading when you're working, whatever that may be. So I think it's very helpful and significant to think about it, right? Actually, it's quite deep, and it goes way beyond just trading. I mean, assets on the market, as we typically refer to as trading.
Yeah, but also, why are we trading? I think got the goddess trades Forex. You guys remember her from last week's audition tapes? I do think she mentioned something about the reason to trade. It's not only a question of money. It's also a question of freedom and time. And I think as traders, I think we can all relate to that, because a lot of people we do trade for not only financial freedom but time freedom. And I do think that's one of the most important aspects for me when it comes to the reason to trade. But yeah, enough of that. Enough of the deep stuff. Let's go into the market. We do have a few bank holidays today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I don't know
We
which
have
currencies those are. Is it US?
in the U.S. Yes, in the U.S. we have it's a bank holiday today, so perhaps it's Columbus Day. So
Right.
the majors, right, the pairs traded which have the U.S. dollars in the pair will probably have a low volatility day. Then again, if anything happens during low volatility periods, day like these, the market is able to gap or move very erratic. So it's a double-edged sword, right? It's going to be slow probably, but if anything gets out of hand, it can get a little weird or wacko. So it might be even temporarily have spikes, things like that, which makes it not a slow and low risk environment. But yes, typically that doesn't happen normally. So
So
doesn't
one
happen.
could say that we have lower liquidity, but potential, more volatility because of that as well.
Yeah, but only if something big happens, like a big event
Yeah.
happens on a holiday, then you might see you can see that on it happens on holidays as around Christmas days as well. Liquidity goes down, but if anything happens, you can see that like gold used to have that a lot, like at the end of the year, a lot of volume coming in, but the trading session in itself is a low volatility scenario, and that can move price very differently than when we don't have a bank holiday. So it's something to think about. But typically, the bank holiday will turn out to be a very dull day. We're compressed, very rangy, not moving in any direction with any force.
So I'm thinking because I haven't done my weekly trade scanning. I think it would be cool to do that live for you guys today. So you remember last week we did a presentation on, I believe that was on Tuesday, where I talked about my trading system, my trading approach, and I also talked about the fact that I was scanning the markets on a weekend on Sunday. Obviously, I can't do that live because it's Sunday and we're not live on Sundays, but now we are live and I haven't done that, so I might be able to do that for you guys today. So I'll walk you through the process. Now, I'm thinking if I do this without being live, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes, but now having to explain the whole process and showing you how it works, it probably going to take about 20 minutes, I believe, or maybe in 30. But what I'm going to do first is walk you through the list here. So I have different sections within my TradingView watch list, and it's very easy to add a section. All you have to do is just go to your watch list, right click, and then click add section, and you can rename that section to whatever. Here I have different sections. One is called scan priority, one is called interesting, no interest, and to scan. So what I do first of all is I move all my pairs. So that's after doing my trade journal review, but I only took one trade yesterday and I've already journaled that, and I did my weekly review and all of that, so I'm not going to do that today. So I'm going to move everything down. I'm going to move all the pairs down one section at a time till I come to scan. These are now all the pairs that we're going to be going through, and I'll show you how I do it. I start with the daily, and actually I only look at the daily when doing my scanning. So Euro CHF, what I'm seeing here is just a level here, something like that. I'm only going to be interested in if price gets above that level. So I'll have an alert above that level. I'll have an alert.
Before you continue, if I may,
yep.
the other lists on the right side, they're empty. I mean, above, everything above is empty, right? No interest, interesting, or priority.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you start with an empty. Do you start fresh every weekend with an empty subdivision of your list?
Yeah.
Or can you have okay. So every Friday basically you clean out the list, priority, interesting, and everything is fresh.
Exactly, everything's fresh, and in terms of drawings, it's fresh as well. I remove all prior levels, and so it's going to be a completely clean shot every Sunday.
I like
Yeah,
that.
and the idea for that is because of limiting the idea of analysis paralysis, and also not being too focused on a level that I might have found a lot of confidence in the past, but now new price action is forming, but I'm kind of the previous level gets shadowed by that level. I'm removing all biases. But here's one level, two alerts. This is not really interesting to me unless we have new price actions. I move that to no interest, and then I move on to the next one. Here's a few levels that needs to be removed. So remove everything. This idea here from the week before kind of turned out to be well. So see, we have a level here. Yeah, this is a priority because I can see this as like it's a break and retest. So this is just going to be a priority. I'm going to move that up. GBP, CHF, this looks really good on a daily. It's a break and retest. Then we have that level. Gonna adjust it a bit. So this is a bit problematic because what I'm trying to always understand is the overall daily trend. And here I would say we're neutral because we do have higher lows and higher highs as well. But if you look at this structure here, I'm kind of getting the feeling that we're perhaps in a primary downtrend with a secondary uptrend. So we're neutral. And when I'm neutral, I can go either short or long. And here, the trade I'm looking at would be some type of break and retest of this level to the upside. So I'm just going to put an alert here. I'm going to move that to interesting because there's something I like about this. Euro JPY is currently at resistance. So you might look at this and you might say, oh, this looks great for a long on a break and retest, but it's not breaking out. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm looking for a short. And it's going to be a break of structure in the 4 hour to short this. But I'm, of course, also going to put an alert up here and one alert above as well or below. Now, the idea here is I'm looking to short this simply because of the fact that it's at resistance. I have to be mindful, though, that it's the 4th, 5th, maybe 6th retest of this level, which, of course, lowers the probability of having a rejection, but I'm waiting for confirmation. And it's in the area of interest. And everything that's in the area of interest is moved to priority. Silver is... I don't like that. So I'm moving this to no interest. Not sure why I don't like it. It doesn't stand out. And if it doesn't stand out, I'm just going to move on to the next one. Here we have a level. But then if it breaks above that one, we're going to be hitting this level. So there might be a trade like this, but it's at resistance, which means I want to short it. But then there's a level here as well. So this one is... even though it looks interesting for trade, its price action is too compact and the levels are too close to each other, so that's going to be a no interest. And no interest means I don't care about that pair for the next week. CAD CHF, this is just it's just ridiculous price action here on the daily. It's in a range. I can, of course, go long and short based on the range highs and lows here. So if price comes back up to the range highs, I might want to be able to short it. So this is interesting. Not a priority though. GBP AUD is no interest. USD CAD. Now this is obviously this has to be interesting, right? Because resistance, because of the fact that we're at resistance, I want to look for a reversal on the 4 hour downwards. And then what we see here down here as well is a untested level of a W on a daily. So best case scenario is I can catch a short up here and then catch a long down there, which probably won't happen next week, but this is definitely a priority. So here's a trade from last week. We went, this is the only trade from last week where we went long here. And you can see the very clear structure. This is what I want to find when I'm scanning markets. Everything that looks like this is moved to a priority, especially if price is trading within the zone of interest when finding the setup. Now, of course, GBP CAD is at some sort of resistance up here. Now, you might say, well, then you want to short that, but I would never short something that looks like this. Like this is not something that I want to be shorting. However, I might want to wait for price to come down into this level for possible long. But that's obviously not happening today. So I'm going to be putting an alert here. And then I'll remove these levels. I'll just do an indication here of what my idea is. Potential long here. And then I have the alerts. Putting an alert up here as well, and I'm moving this to interesting. Now, the reason this is not a priority is because it's not in the area of interest, but I do see a possible trade lining up. And that trade, of course, is, I believe, this. So that's interesting. AUD CAD already had a retest, second retest. This, I don't really know, but I'm just going to put an alert here and one here, and I'm moving this to, I have to move it to no interest because there's just something that it doesn't stand out very clearly. Now, I already have 3 pairs in my priority list. So I usually have 4 or 5. So we have a lot of pairs to look at. Use DCHF. This is an idea that I missed last week. I didn't miss it. I never came down from entry. But you see here, this is just picture perfect. This actually almost looks like the Dow theory, where you have something that kind of looks like this, you know? Then a downtrend like this. Oh man, that was horrible writing. But usually what you have is you have like a uptrend, sideways, downtrend, sideways, and then a break and retest like that. It's almost like the picture perfect market structure, this one, as good as they come in live market. So this is just an obvious long. It obviously didn't enter that one. So now we have resistance up here. And the question is then, can we short this at that level? And I would say yes, I can, because it's still not a super obvious uptrend. This could still be a lower low and lower high. So I have an alert there already, and so it's interesting. Bitcoin looks absolutely amazing here. Remove some levels.
Actually, you got my attention right there. Tell us why it looks so marvelous.
Okay, so yeah. So using the replay function, we can look at this. Okay, so the reason why I really like the current price action for Bitcoin is what we're seeing right now is, you know, we have a high area here, and you can see that generally you have a downtrend with lows, and you can see also I'm clumping some of the highs together because I view it as the same liquidity area, if you will, and then these are the lows. So what we have now is a clear bearish structure, and nowhere within this bearish structure do we have a clear reversal pattern confirming. We do have something here, okay? This pattern here, which is the inverse head and shoulders, or Quasimodo, probably something you would mention it as. So that is a fairly clean and clear reversal pattern, but it never really holds this level. And then we have a top formation here, and we don't really have anything super obvious in terms of a bottom formation that is being confirmed. But if you look at what Bitcoin is doing now remember, this is on the daily. So what we have now is, first we have a break and a retest right here. Important level probably something like, yeah, let's just put it there. So that's a break and retest of that level. That's a first support being claimed. And we broke a high. One of the lower highs that we marked out previously. We now have a higher high. And not only that, but we form a bottom formation with the double tops, the double bottoms on the daily. And it's sort of like, looks like we're almost confirming it. I mean, what we're really confirming to me would be a retest of that level. But what you see already, if you zoom out and you compare this price action with what I've just showed you, it looks much different. Okay, much different in my opinion. And what we've had now is, if you change the perspective of, instead of looking for a downtrend or looking at a downtrend, we add the 50% fib. And what we have now is a reclaim of the range EQ, or the middle of the range. And right on that range EQ is where you have that bottom formation, that W. So you can have a break and retest of the range EQ. Usually when that happens is you have a fairly high probability of reaching the range highs. And when Bitcoin reaches the range highs, we are now out of the bearish market structure and into a more obvious ranging market structure. Okay, and then you look at the perspective of that. You zoom out to the weekly and you go to the log chart. That this is the perspective that we're looking at. This is the overall perspective, which tells me that Bitcoin is inherently bullish, and we're now breaking the bearish market structure. So I think, yes, it looks very bullish, but also we have bank holidays, we have the markets are gonna, the US market is gonna wake up tomorrow and maybe think, okay, Bitcoin is looking a bit too bullish here. Let's start selling it.
I got a question for you. Does it make any difference to you in your analysis that the structure that you're now identifying as bullish, breaking the bearish ones and forming double on the daily double bottoms, and reacting on the same level, reclaiming previous levels? Does it make any difference that it happened after the low of the 5th of August? If you can check that on your chart, the low on the 5th of August that tapped into the high of 11th of January to the left. Yeah, 11 of January. If you draw a line from there, of course you will see it came almost picture perfect to that level. The high of 11.
You mean this?
Yes. Exactly. Does it make a difference to you that all of everything you're telling us happened after it touched that, as if like it closed something, it tapped into some kind of liquidity before it can continue on its in-change transition back from bearish to sideways and possibly potentially to bullish again?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to, as traders, and especially for me, someone who's deeply, into Bitcoin, both from a financial point of view and also like a philosophical point of view, I do of course remember this move, because this is not a move that is easily forgotten when you're looking at an asset like Bitcoin. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we tapped into not only this level, we have tapped into that one here, but we also came down, and I remember we probably also went down and looked at I think what happened was we also came down and tested the monthly 21 or something like that. Well, almost. I can't remember which one. I'm not going to spend time on that now, but I remember at the time this was a very significant retest. So of course I'm building that upon the fact that we did hold this level, and after holding that level is when we started forming a rather bullish market structure. So if we move forward to current price, we taking this into consideration, yeah, it makes a big difference, of course, because this level has, has already been tested basically.
And in a way, it's a break and retest, right? It broke that high, and then comes back, retest the level very shortly, just one day, and shoots up.
I have a question here before we move on. All of these indicators, what are they used for? Okay, so we can start at the very low. This is a friend of mine created an indicator with signals. I don't know if you remember Dirk Hartig created a signal here. So an indicator, so I'm playing around with that one. Nothing I use in my trading though. And then I just have different EMAs to track different EMAs, which I'm not really using a lot. And then I have this one, which adds horizontal levels. Honestly, I don't really use the indicators much. And these are my own indicators up here. And I'm only using them when trading a specific trend following strategy, which I'm not focused on now, because now I'm focused on getting statistics on this approach I'm trading now. But then when I have all the statistics needed for this, then I can start trading both of the setups parallel to each other. But let's move on. Let's move on with
Before you move on, have you put on the indicator where you have the two areas on top and on the bottom where it goes on the log chart? Very interesting.
This, no? Oh, you mean that one? This one?
Yeah, that one. That's how are we stacking up on that analysis? I mean, Dirk always, and you're using it too. I like it very much because it gives us a much bigger time frame perspective of Bitcoin, and I think you should be seeing Bitcoin as in a very long cycle of very bullishness, and in there, of course, there will be periods of bearishness, but this puts things into perspective, I think, for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So basically, the idea here is most people can see what this is based on. Green being buy, red being sell, support and resistance basically, and this is based on the fact that historically the green zone or the green buffer area here, whatever, have in the past been acting as support quite nicely, and we're just looking at price going from one to the other. It's just very, very simple. Now, what I like to do as well is to add the it's the weekly 50. Yeah, it's the weekly 50 EMA, the gray one right here. Whenever Bitcoin is above the weekly 50 EMA within this green zone, it's usually a good example of when it reclaims the 50 EMA on the weekly within the green zone, that's usually a good sign of a bull market. Okay,
reclaiming and keep on reacting upon it. If you look at the back right before it starts going up, right before the bull run starts, it will start respecting that EMA quite nicely. In the past, it has. If you go a little bit more in the past, I saw a couple of on your screen a couple of times it right there at halfway your screen. There, that period, you can see how it held that EMA quite nicely, and it did that again at the next halving. I think it is that vertical line next. So I think that's a very good pattern. I'm not a crypto trader, but it looks visually very compelling.
We could basically trade it. Okay, so obviously this is on a weekly, and Bitcoin only has price action from, I believe, 2010. But we can look at we could trade this. So basically, okay, we go long when we reclaim the 50, and we sell when we lose the 50, and it's been profitable every time. And we can go long here, and I would just oh wow, that's a very wide stop loss. Only 4,000% minus. Okay, so what if we just put our stop loss like below couple of weekly candles back, and then we lose it right here? That would mean we get out of the trade here, right there. So that's an 81 hour trade. So 2000% move to the upside. And then we can look at here when we reclaim it right here. And then, you know what? I'm not going to use that one. It's just, I don't know what's happening here. But here's basically when we reclaim it. And then here's where we lose it. You can see that would be like a small profit. And then here, reclaim. And then this is where we lose it. And then once again, within the current move is we reclaim here. And now we're using it as support right here. So we haven't lost it. Now, you combine the weekly 50 EMA with the logarithmic regression chart that we're looking at. This is the indicator. And then you combine that with the MVRV C-score, which is this one down here, which basically has a buy zone and a sell zone. Now, this sell zone here is not in the original script. This is something I've added. The sell zone is actually up here at which starts at 7. So from 7 to 10 is sell zone, and then down here is buy zone. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that there's a very clear alpha decay, if you will. So I think the top, according to the MVRV score, will probably come in around 5 to 6. But if you look at the buy zones right here, you have one buy, it enters the MVRV score here, enters here, then it exits the MVRV score right here. That's where it reclaims the 50 EMA. And then you can look at it enters the MVRV score here. And again, it gets out of the MVRV score right here where it reclaims the weekly 50 EMA. And then we will probably see a similar pattern right here. It gets out of the MVRV score right here, and that's when it also reclaims the weekly 50 EMA. So it's a very good relationship between these three different indicators, which is the weekly 50, the Bitcoin logarithmic regression chart that we're looking at, and then the MVRV score. So my buying strategy for Bitcoin is buy inside the buy zone and sell within the sell zone. So this is where I've accumulated most of my Bitcoin holding within this level right here. So from that average price of, I believe, 20 or 19,000 or so down here, we're currently up 200%. And I'm looking for, a move up to like 100, maybe 100, 150, something like that, if this continues, if this trend will continue. But that's to the upside. So that in that case, we're looking at like a 600% move to the upside, which is not a lot if you look at the history of Bitcoin. But we also have to have plans for the downside. And for me, it's quite simple. As soon as Bitcoin is closing a weekly candle below the weekly 50 EMA and also breaks support. So you can see here, it has a pretty solid support level right here. So it gets below the weekly 50 EMA, but it doesn't break below support. And here we have the same structure. We got the 50 here, and then we got support. So if it gets below the 50 and also breaks support, that's when I will most likely get out of Bitcoin, and I'm looking to enter then around that level again. But if you look at the returns, even with entering down here and exiting here, it's still like a 150% move. So trading Bitcoin is.
So someone is sitting on a pot of gold.
Not really. I wish I bought more. Like it's not really like that.
One question. I see you mentioned that you use the MVRV there, the sell zone, to time your exits. But visually, if you look at the chart and the indicator with the green and the red zones, wouldn't it make sense to just sell whenever it hits the red zone in the price up there on the red zone? I mean, not the sell zone and the indicator, but on price, that range you have there in the logarithmic regression chart. Just sell whenever it reaches it. I mean, just a thought.
Maybe, but
or are you thinking there might be a? Do you think maybe there might be a blow off top where it goes 50 extra just because it's at the top, and you're trying to capitalize that as well?
Well, if you've been watching Bitcoin, when it starts moving and when it really enters that accelerated phase, it explodes. Like it's gonna go higher than like what most people think, and it's gonna be quicker than what most people think. When it gets going, it's really quick, and it will reach quite high prices, and it won't stay there for long though, probably a couple of days or even a day. But I also don't want to add too many things to my analysis here. I feel like that I've done that mistake in the past, with adding many different indicators, and then I'm relying too much on combination of indicators, and then when one starts failing and then the other one starts failing, I lose confidence in the whole strategy. But here it's very simple. Like, my emphasis is on the MVRV score. So this is really the only chart that I'm trading Bitcoin on, and this is not even the price of Bitcoin, so it's simply just buy here, because that's what I did in the last cycle. We can look at the last cycle, the way we traded that one. Started accumulating here. So that's when I started accumulating in 19. And then when it broke out of that accumulation is when, we had the confirmation. Of course, we had the COVID crash here, which definitely changed things. I got out of the market, luckily, a bit before the crash, but also sold a lot during the crash as well, because like with the COVID crash, there was so much uncertainty of the future of a lot of different things. So what I did there was just cover most of my position on the COVID crash, but I could get in when we reclaimed the weekly 50 again. And then when the MVRV score got into the sell area and we lost to 50, I sold here. I remember getting a lot of negativity on Twitter, because I basically called the top here, and then people said, well, we're gonna break out. It's very stupid to sell Bitcoin here. But I basically said I have to stay true to the way I'm trading, and I might be mistaken, it might break out, but it actually happened to be double top, and it broke down. And then I just repeated the process of accumulating here again. And then when we broke above this accumulation range and reclaimed the weekly 50, it's when I added, the rest of that accumulation, the planned accumulation. It's a fairly straightforward process.
Very, very nicely put there. I think for everyone who, even those who are not familiar with how Bitcoin price moves, I think this will help them get a little bit of a grip, right? Where is the value in Bitcoin? At which levels are we still thinking it's a value? It has it's a discount, if you will, on the higher time frame. Because if you only see the not the lock chart but the normal chart, what you see is that we are basically at the same top. We're at the same level. We're at all-time high, not very high from. We're basically, if you zoom out with and on the weekly perhaps, yeah, it's a chart like that. Exactly. We are basically at the place of the previous high. So if you consider this chart, you will say we're going long at at the top range of what price has been in the last couple of a year, 2 years, something like that. But if you put the other chart where you see that we're actually relatively low on the growth that Bitcoin has shown in the past, that this is actually doesn't look to be very high on the when you put it on the log chart.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But there's one thing to mention here, though. I don't see this as, because we have always, when we're doing technical analysis, we always have to look at the context of what we're looking at, the context, and then the behavior of the market and the trend that we're watching. And the context is this. This is resistance, that's resistance. And then you could say that the move that we had here, I view that as almost a fake out of this resistance right here. So if we extend this, to the left, what we have now is actually, I would say, accumulation above previous resistance. So even though you're right, we're in the same region where we printed the previous highs and the double top, we are not printing even a slightly similar behavior structure as we're seeing now. And you can always you can always almost feel the difference in psychology as well, because you have euphoria, and then like a huge drop to the downside. It starts here and then down here. That is, a 50% move to the downside in 2 weeks. That's complete fear. That's catastrophic level of fear on the fear and greed. And then you're quickly recovering only to get rejected at the same area. So you can look at the weekly chart here and really see that Bitcoin investors and the retail investors that came into the market here, huge swings between fear and greed. But now we're seeing a much more calmer and much more mature market at these levels, because everyone has simply forgotten about what it was like trading at this level back in the past. So it's just a fascinating example of in market psychology, because here we have just an explosive move to the upside, but nowhere near the same volatility, which might be because of the fact that we do have major institutions coming in. Well, we always say that the institutions are coming, but I remember in 2017 we actually did say the institutions are coming, and there were signs of them coming. And now we have an ETF, we have a spot BTF for Bitcoin. So I think that makes a major difference. Bitcoin has now been established as a serious financial asset that everyone wants in some way or other be involved in. And I think that is reflective of the current price action within the concept of previous cycles.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on its head there, because we are, we've been reading about how there is institutional adoption, right? Mass adoption of crypto is a serious asset class. It wasn't before. Before, it was an alternative investment, something very, very risky that you typically don't see, the bigger fund manager talking about them. But now they are. I mean, the last couple of a year, 2 years, maybe 3, they have been mentioning it, but it's actually happening with these ETFs being approved by the exchanges in different jurisdictions. And what does that mean? It means that big institutional players will start having some exposure to these this asset class. Pension funds, right? That's huge. Those are trillions of money that, even if they have a little tiny exposure to Bitcoin, can really make a big difference. And going back to the chart, what I see is consolidation at a relatively high level, but the consolidation is a sign of strength, because even though it is at the same place it sold off previously, it's not doing that. Exactly what you said. The market has a different composure right now. It is as if it is getting ready for a breakout. That's typically how breakout work. Prices goes to that level, maybe even breaks it or stays below the resistance line and accumulates until it shoots out. And it's then, by the way, then you're a little bit late, because then it's already obvious to everyone that it's breaking out, right?
Yeah, it's I think it would be very unresponsible of us to say, this is a good area to buy Bitcoin, because it's not the best area to buy Bitcoin. It's not a bad area to buy Bitcoin, but you have to be very mindful of the risk of downside is very big. Okay, the risk of downside here is not as big as it is here. Okay, now if you're going to be buying Bitcoin here, trading Bitcoin here, especially for the long term, I would say view this as your mental invalidation area, the area between 51 or 53,000. Do not try to go into the mindset of I'm gonna buy here and then I'm just gonna be holding for a couple of years, because honestly, a couple of years, and this is what I think is quite easy or quite probable, is in a couple of years you might be down here. So if you're buying Bitcoin here to hold in a couple of years, well, that was actually 800 days ago. So a couple of years, you're now here. So be careful of where you're buying for long term as well, and how you're buying. Dollar cost average strategy, when looking at this, is actually a very simple approach, but surprisingly effective when it comes to getting a good average entry. I would say though, however, dollar cost averaging works much better in the bear market than a bull market. That's at least from my perspective, because if you're unlucky, you start dollar cost averaging at the top and you're gonna get a fairly bad entry even when the next bull market starts. So yeah, but that's Bitcoin. I think let's see. I do have I had a question here. I think this is rather important, because I do think there's a lot of services out there that enables you to rent out. Well, not is it rent out?
It's staking, right?
Yeah, staking. So you're lending out, not renting out. You're lending out your Bitcoin. Basically, you're staking your Bitcoin, and then you're staking your Bitcoin at a company, and then that company is either using the Bitcoin for leverage, margin, or they're lending out that Bitcoin to others, and then you get the interest from that on your Bitcoin holdings. What you have to remember when you're doing this is you're giving your Bitcoin to someone else. You don't own that Bitcoin. Okay? There's only one way of owning Bitcoin, and that is having access to your private key, your seed phrase of your wallet. That should be a physical hard wallet that you own, like a ledger or whatever. If you have your Bitcoin on an exchange, you don't own that Bitcoin. That exchange has that Bitcoin. You can only gain access to your Bitcoin if you have access to your keys. So if you have crypto on an exchange and that exchange decides to disappear, well, then you have no access to Bitcoin, and it's just not your Bitcoin anymore. When you're giving your Bitcoin to another company to lend out, you have really no access to that Bitcoin. And there are certain situations where this has been problematic in the past. For example, with FTX. And with the FTX collapse, you had other companies around FTX where I remember one company, I can't remember the name, but it was very big in the crypto industry. All the big influencers recommended that company, and you could lend out your Bitcoin at interest and basically stake it. That company went bankrupt because of the Alameda Research and FTX fiasco, and people lost millions and millions and millions in Bitcoin because they didn't have access to their keys. So I absolutely do not recommend doing this. If you want to invest in Bitcoin long term, you make sure that you have access to your Bitcoin and you own Bitcoin. Okay, so here's another very good question. With Bitcoin, you're your own bank. Okay, so to the question of can you store Bitcoin like in a bank? Yes, you can. But when you put dollars with a regulated bank, you're insured to a certain number. Okay, so you're going to be insured at a certain number. So if that company goes bankrupt, then the government will come in and basically help you out with the losses. But with Bitcoin, not possible. So what you have with Bitcoin is you're your own bank. And then also if you run your own Bitcoin node, then you can call yourself maybe having your own central bank at home, because what you do with a node is if you run your own Bitcoin node on your PC or whatever, you're actually helping the Bitcoin network to confirm transaction. And the more Bitcoin nodes and the bigger the network is, the more secure that network is. So you could say that everyone that is running a Bitcoin node is together building a massive central bank within the Bitcoin ecosystem. And with your hardware wallet, you are your own bank in crypto, which there are some risks with that, but with freedom comes responsibility, right? With the freedom that Bitcoin can give you in the financial world, there also comes a responsibility for you to take care of that freedom and make sure that you're taking care of your Bitcoin as well. Right. Now, I didn't plan for this to be a Bitcoin live stream today, but it kind of just happened. Now I'm gonna continue with my scan here. So remember, we scanned the markets, and now we got stuck on Bitcoin. But I'm gonna continue here. My question is about the master programs. Let's see. Yeah, let me know what questions you have. That was nice. Just a couple of seconds of peace and quiet. Oh, you want to know about the Mastery series? Well, let's see. Okay, we got something huge coming up. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a good one. Yeah, it's like you don't want to miss this. You do not want to miss this. Which camera do I use? I use a Canon M200. It's actually surprisingly good. It's a mirrorless DSLR. Not very expensive. I think it's like $500 or so with the kit lens. It's surprisingly good. Have I stopped wearing headphones? Yes, I have. Sometimes I wear headphones. Sometimes I do not wear headphones. It's just I like the freedom of being able to choose where my sound comes from. Okay, so let's continue with the scan. Do we have a trade for Bitcoin? I mean, I would say we do have a possible trade for Bitcoin on the possible retest of this level, but it's not a priority. But it is of interest, though. What about Ethereum? Do we have a trade on Ethereum? Well, we might have a possible trade right here. You know what? It's just I'm gonna move this to no interest, because honestly, and for those of you trading with the 5ers and you're interested in Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you're gonna be trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, you better make sure that you check the spreads, check the conditions within MetaTrader, and you're not gonna be able to day trade this. You have to have wide stop loss. You have to view this as swing trading. And we do have the best conditions in the industry when it comes to Forex. We do not have the best conditions in the industry when it comes to Ethereum and Bitcoin. So being mindful of that when you're looking, make sure that you look at the conditions, you look at the spreads when trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, because we don't want people to like go in and just day trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it's not going to work very well because of the current conditions. So make sure that you check that out.
Yeah, that's important for everyone to see, because you have to see if it's suitable or not, and for intraday you need the very best, and this is good for swing traders, but you have to be mindful of that difference with crypto.
Yep. Okay, so let's continue. We got that. No interest in that one. GBP USD. Okay, so it's very frustrating, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, because GBP USD, we've been trading within this like area of interest for like 10 days now. Okay, it's been 10 days, and there's just nothing happening. It's just that slow but steady downtrend. Now, what I need to happen. Now I can probably extend this down here, because it now looks like we have different structures. So it's in the area of interest. So I'm gonna have to move this to priority, but it's a big area. But what I want to see here is basically a change of structure within the 4 hour. So this would be a trade for me. But as you can see, it has a long way to confirming a trade. So it's a bit frustrating, because I'm in a time when the system is not providing a lot of setups, combined with I've also missed a couple of setups, which makes me feel like I know trading is supposed to be boring. I know trading is just supposed to be sitting around until you have a good trade. But come on, I mean, I got to be trading more than once a week. It gets a bit boring, Yeah, so yeah, GBP USD is in the area of it's in the priority, and same with Euro USD. It's the same level. I've had this level on for quite a long time now, but all I need for EU is just to shoot up here, and then that would be the trade. Go to the daily, you see that we're testing a very clear level here on the daily. This is a buy to me. I want to be buying here. And so that's the priority. Going back to Euro CAD. Again, this was 2 levels that I had in mind. I wanted to go long here. We can go into the 4 hour. I can show you why that never happened. It was because... Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, yeah, the reason was because I wanted to enter here, but there just isn't any good stop loss levels, and I had to exit here, and I feel like, yeah, there's just no good invalidation level. But the general idea was correct. You have support and you bounce on support. It's very simple. I just need to get find that entry on the 4 hour. So here's a question: what happened to the experiment of trading on the 1 minute chart? Well, what happened was the same thing that happens every time I start trading on the lower time frames. And what happens is I completely lose track of everything else I'm doing every single time. Like, I get so hyper focused on the lower time frames that I completely forget about my swing trading approach. I forget about my regular market review, my regular trade journal. Everything gets thrown out the window because I'm so focused on the lower time frame. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, I've been trying this for many years now, and I feel like, yeah, I probably should just stay away. It's about knowing what
your strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing your strength and your weakness, and there's nothing wrong with it. It only makes us stronger if we know, what we can do best and what we should not do. It's a problem when we don't acknowledge these, the things that we can do very well, that's going to hurt us. As long as you know what you're doing, you know what not to do, you're gonna be, that's already a huge step forward in trading.
Yep. So yeah, we had a bounce here. We're now hitting some sort of resistance area. Yeah, I mean this could definitely be a. Now I'm never looking at the 4-hour when doing my market scans, but just to show you what this could be. Imagine if price goes down here, and then perhaps starts moving like this, then that somewhere within this move to the downside is my trade, because we reached the high time frame level, and we're breaking structure in the 4-hour, and that's where I'll look to enter a trade. So Euro CAD is actually in priority. NCD CAD, we had the same thing going on here for NCD CAD. I believe we had I think we had a trade on this. Can't remember, but now I'm going to move this up to priority because there's something interesting here. We have Henry. This is a great question, and I'm gonna cover that. Euro NCD long. Let's see if I've already looked at that one. No, I have not. So let's look at that. Okay, so you're saying long here. I could see why on the daily. However, I feel like I think I have to go to the weekly for this. And then I'm just thinking, I'm just looking at that level, and I'm thinking it feels like we're going long at resistance. Okay, so we got daily resistance. Going to the 4-hour. Yeah, I could definitely see how. But this is actually a very, very interesting point here, because I have my pre-trade checklist right here, and on that pre-trade checklist, right down here, it says only trade the 4-hour reversals at the end of a 4-hour trend. Do not trade 4-hour breakouts and trend continuation. So this right here is a trend continuation. If I'm going to go long, so basically what we're looking at here is this is the move that we're trading based on, okay? Because we're looking at a move up and then a retracement into this level. But this is a 4-hour long setup at the end of a move, okay? This is a 4-hour more like trend continuation, and it's basically giving us a perfect price formation if it would be printing down here. So I'm only supposed to be buying 4-hour reversals at a bottom of a 4-hour trend or at the top of a 4-hour trend. So if we would get this type of pattern, but in reverse for a short, like this instead, then that would be perhaps a short that I would be looking to take. But now, given the context here, the fact that we're at daily resistance, and I do view this as daily resistance. Remember, it was also a weekly level. So what we're looking at now is we're looking at a 4-hour trend continuation / breakout trade at a daily resistance. And that's exactly why I made this reminder, because this is a trap that I find myself in very often. And therefore, I have to have a reminder that tells me I'm not supposed to be buying this pattern here. I'm supposed to be buying this pattern at the lows, or here. So very good example of how your mind can kind of play tricks on you and lead you into thinking that this is a good long, while you zoom out, you start adding levels on the high time frames, and you start thinking about the things that you've learned in backtesting, because this reminder is something that I've noticed in backtesting. So this is not going to be long for me because of what I've just mentioned. Now it does have a beautiful pattern. It does really have a beautiful pattern, and the more I look at it, the more interested I get in going long, and therefore I'm just going to move this to no interest, and then I'm going to be adding alerts above here and below, and then I'm not going to be looking at that one. Yeah, Henry, you're setting me up for a trap, but that's also one of the things that you need to know this from experience, and I've gotten that information from live trading and experience, you know. But yeah, very, very important that whenever you notice something new in your trading and you get ideas for something new, make notes. Start making notes. Let's see, when it's bullish, it's because people are buying NCD with euros. No, it's because people are buying
the other
euro and selling the NCD.
Or one of them.
Yeah. Let us not get into fundamentals.
When we have a pair, the first position, right? The euro, in this case, euro NZD. The euro at this pair, euro NZD, goes up when euro is going up. So when people are buying euros, but at the same and NZD stays the same. When NZD, the second position in the pair, when the second position is being sold, it also goes up, right? Because in relation to the euro, it's getting less, it becomes less of value, right? So, and that's the relationship. So euro NZD goes up when either euro is being bought or NZD is being sold. And you flip that around for when euro NZD becomes bearish, it's when euro is being sold and or NZD is being bought. It's that's the relationship. So basically, that's what you need to think and have into account as well when you're looking for correlations between the pairs. When you have let's say a euro dollar going up, but the dollar index isn't moving, it means that it's likely the euros is the component that's moving. And if you have that, if you have indication of the one asset, one currency moving, then you can have an idea what it's going to do to euro NZD if euro is going up, right? I hope I'm not mixing, I'm not confusing you, but if euro is going up, and you can see that through other pairs, then you can have an idea that the euro NZD will also go up, as long as the NZD doesn't go down more than euro is going up.
All right, let's continue with the scan. Okay, euro NZD. Okay, got that one. USD JPY. Okay, this looks very, very bullish. I feel like there's a lot of moves here that. By the way, that was a good explanation, Victor. Thank you for that.
No problem.
There's a lot of good volatility.
But there's actually a structure. You're still in your weekly analysis, your weekly setup, and I was gonna.
You know what? You can go ahead and look at that one. And I'm just gonna take a quick break, so I'll be back in just a minute. Okay.
Perfect. I will be showing my chart in a couple of seconds. Let me get mine ready, and we are ready to rock and roll. All right. So this is this is GU, and I will be looking at both of them, EU and GU, since those are the pairs that I trade on a daily basis. At least I'm looking for setups on a daily basis. So the question that I have is, what is the weekly and the daily? What kind of higher time frame? What are the higher time frames telling us? Currently, right, we're coming from a bearish weekly order block, which had we talked about this a couple of times in the past few days, how this big bearish candle is not according to previous price action, right? Where the bullish side was always to the to the impulsive move was always has been going, been onto the buy side, not to the sell side. So this big red candle is something new and something we need to listen to, because something has changed. So that's one thing. It broke the daily. Actually, it broke the. Let's see. It broke the daily and the 4-hour structure. Yes, on the. Let me get this nicely here. On the the H4 and the daily, it broke the neckline, which is right here. But that's the beginning of this big bearish downwards pointing impulsive move. And what have we got since then? We haven't, on the daily time frame, we haven't put in any indication of the market wanting to reverse or slowing down. We had a little bullish structure here, but what did price do right away? It negated with another big candle. So it only confirmed that the sellers are in control. And we haven't had anything else to even make us suggest that we're going to switching over. We do have a order block of a daily order block to the left, but it's not fresh. It's not part of a quasi. So it isn't, it's supposed to have much of an impact. It may have a little pop, and we did see this wick, which is consistent with the fact that there is an order block there, but you don't expect a lot more than that. Maybe a few days, but in the end, as we can see, it didn't form any bullish structures. Meanwhile, it is showing right now it hasn't printed it, but it's still it looks like it's going to close as a bearish engulfing, which only confirms the fact that the sellers are in control. So we shouldn't be looking for buyers for buys, at least not in the daily time frame. And if we go to the lower time frames, it only agrees with the daily, right? When we hit that area, that daily order block, what did we do? Did we form a H4 structure that indicates we might be having a reversal? Yes, we did. We formed this order block here. But what did price do? Right? Remember, I mentioned follow through, right? Price needs to show you something and then have follow through. It needs to keep on showing the same thing. It whatever signal the markets give you, it shouldn't be something like one off. It should be telling you on different time frames and repeatedly that this is the intention of the market participants. But what does price do when it gets there? Let me move this arrow a little bit to the other side. Right, it gets to the order block on the daily, gets bought up almost, very strongly. I was gonna say instantaneous, but this is a 4-hour order block, so it's not that instantaneous, but it was bought up. So it formed a bullish, that's the bullish sign. It wants to go up. But what does it do afterwards? It just crashes down and close below that wick, telling us that whatever structure signal it showed us previously, it didn't get followed through, right? So we're not supposed to be thinking that from this area it's going to go much higher. It also closed below that on the H4, and we are now getting back into it because since we don't have a quasi, we don't have a bullish order block, and what we do have is formation of bearish structures on the H4. If we think about it, you want to be going in the direction that price is forming the structures for, right? You want to be following the order flow. The order flow is, to me, defined as what is the structures and what directions are the majority of the structures being formed. They're bearish ones, and when it does get a bullish one, it negates it very quickly. So to me, this is not bullish, even though it is at a daily order block, which may have a pop, but perhaps this little move was all it was going to give us. So that's on EU. Basically, what I see is a very weak price action, very bearish, and only forming. This isn't printed yet, so I'm not supposed to put a D1 there. Let me take that off. It hasn't printed, but it looks like since we're on the bank holiday, we don't expect this to be bought up very quickly. And if it closes like this, it will form another one, which doesn't surprise us, because on the lower time frame, you don't see any strength coming into the market. Not even that. We just closed as an H4 outside bar right here, right? When Jonatan was explaining his weekly way of looking at the market, I didn't want to interrupt, of the flow of things, but we just closed 17 minutes ago. How this is, clear confirmation that who is in control. It's a very clear sign of bearishness still dominating the price action. So if anything, I would say that is the possibilities of a setup, it coming back to that area where it took control to sell it back into lower prices. But I will have to see if this happens today or maybe tomorrow. And
what's interesting though, let me just I just want to, sorry if I'm interrupting here, but I want to mention that this pattern that we're seeing here, what's interesting about this is, yes, I absolutely agree that EU looks the highest probability trade is most likely to the downside here. However, when we reclaim that level and maybe a bit higher that you looked at as possible short, that's when I'm going to go look for longs. So when your short scenario is invalidated, that's when I will start looking for longs, because I'm looking at basically, we have a 4-hour downtrend right now, and I'm looking for a shift of that structure, because the low that we're currently printing could be a double bottom. You could have if you go to like the 4-hour, you'll see that we have a possible W forming. We need to bounce here, but that's the structure that I would be trading based on.
Yes, I thought, and I think that's completely true, and that's the way to be viewing the market. If the market is shifting, where it invalidates the last bearish order or structure order block, that's a good way, because that may be the beginning of a new trend, or a couple of days. Doesn't have to be like complete market structure change, but just a couple of days where it's going to be bought up, because since this move, we haven't had any buying coming in. It's very, very weak. We had a little bullish order block there, but that was quickly negated. And the fact that you're looking for a possible long makes a lot of sense because of this structure. The only thing that I have is that, and of course that's going to happen if your setup is playing out, I want to see the H4 telling me. I want to see it forming bullish structures, and it's not doing that. And as long as it's not doing that, I'm gonna go with the order flow. However, if it comes back here and it invalidates it, that to me is a bullish sign, because it's breaking a bearish structure, and it only does that when it wants to go up. So it makes a lot of sense. If price were to start a bullish order block here, maybe today, later on today, maybe tomorrow, that's a great area to buy, even though the order flow is bearish. But if it starts turning around and it's doing it at a relevant place, if you look at the daily, if it were to do that, it's not doing that yet, right? Switching and breaking structures, breaking bearish structure. But if it were to do that, this is a great place to be getting in. Also because of that 50% retracement, you can't see that here, but right from this low on the fib, we are right now at a 50% retracement, which also corresponds with previous highs being broken, which I suppose is the reason why you're interested in it, Jonatan. I typically don't use that in the setup, but of course, I'm not blind. I see them. I know that price reacts to them a lot of the times, but what I see is this structure, right? It's a very nice, tight, narrow area. If the price is able to form a reversal from here, then by all means, I want to be part of it, because it makes a lot of sense to me as well, that it might have a little pop. Doesn't necessarily break, keep on going further. We will need more information for that. But yes, it makes a lot of sense. But to me, as in the absence of any indication of that we're switching order flow, I would be selling this until it, it proves us otherwise. That's one thing. And then GU, what I see is the following. We have GU as actually a more tempting buy if you consider the fact that we have a daily quasi here. Where is price currently? It broke a neckline. We have an established downtrend, and it comes back, and we had let's see, we have one little order block here which it didn't react to, and we are at the last area. If it is going to react and form and react on this order block, this is the area we are in it. So it's very interesting, but I don't see all of it. Yeah, there is a little area here on the H4 as well. If we use the same structure, right, we are at an H4 order block on the quasi, right? This is an entry order block on the quasi, but it's not showing us price action when it's getting here. So I don't see the market telling us yet it wants to reverse from here. But in terms of the market structure of the quasi, this is a great area to be looking for a long, but I'm not gonna take the long unless it really tells us, not from past structure, but from current structures that it wants to reverse. What do I see? If we see this, then this is a great area to be going long, right? But only if it confirms with current market price action shifting bullish, and it's not doing that, at least not right now. We had a bullish order block. What does it do with it? It just breaks it, right? To me, that's the market telling us it's not ready yet. Maybe it will not switch. Maybe it will. But current price action, what we're seeing from the last couple of bars, is not confirming any switch to the buy side. Even when price came in, right? It came in, left that wick, and came close right there. And from that moment, it didn't form any structures this time around. It should have been bought up. It didn't do that. So I'm still on the waiting for price to switch long. But if this doesn't do that, then I'm going to be selling this order block on the H4. The same, very similar to what this has been invalidated already, of course. So it's no longer there. And that would be the idea, right? To sell it, unless the market starts showing on the H4 that we are switching back to bullish. But this doesn't look like any transition yet. If you go to the lower time frames, it tells you the same, right? There is no quasi here. Like this is, if we look to this, what do we need to see for price to tell us there is a reversal pending, right? We have this established downtrend. We want it to break that neckline before it comes back for us to buy it, but it never did that, right? So that's not a quasi. That didn't break the neckline. So that's why I think market might start a reversal from here, but it hasn't shown us anything to that to that extent yet. Will it happen? I don't know, but I'm not going to participate unless it actually tells us that it's forming something. I want to see an H4 bullish order block being formed, but how is it going to form that with this big candle? How is it going to form a bullish order block? It will have to close all the way up here. I don't see that happening today. So it can still do, I don't know, an outside bar here, which may get me interested, and I could get an entry long here, but it looks so weak. It's the thing is, Jonatan, this, of course, if you have to try very hard for a setup, then probably there isn't a setup there. It should tell us, it should show us on the H4, it should scream at us, this is a buy, and it's not doing that. So I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to be waiting for price to come to an area where I would be able to sell that, because that's what the market has been telling us. It's been breaking, making lower lows and lower highs, and that's the most likely place, direction it's going to continue. So these are the two areas. However, for everyone watching and looking, there is a very great area here that if it transitions, if it starts breaking structures, that it would be very interesting for a long. And if that happens, if that were to happen, I will tell you guys if we're trading live. Either today is not going to happen, but maybe tomorrow, if it doesn't invalidate the whole area. And the TPs could be much higher because we don't have a lot of structure. If we go to the higher time frame, there isn't a lot of structure. There's only this daily order block, right, for the longer term. If it were to switch from here, and after this order block, there isn't anything on the daily time frame. So we have the potential of, if it breaks, if there is a reversal, which there isn't yet. If it breaks this as well, you have the possibility of it going much higher, something to hold for longer, a couple of more days. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm setting up the giveaway link right now, so you'll have all of that in the comments section.
Sure. And let's look if we have any questions in the chat. Let's see.
Yeah, let's go through some questions. I've just done while you were explaining all of that, I went through my watch list and finished my weekly planning. And while I do see some interesting opportunities, there's really not a lot going on right now. So I don't know. There's not much to cover, honestly, when it comes to possible setups today.
Well, I think it's different for you because you have many pairs. You're watching different pairs. In my case, this is a typical day. It's a bit slow, but that's because of the bank holiday. But we have it's a little bit slow, yes, but not that much either, because we do have possibilities on GU. I see possibilities for it is at a great area, so I'm very keen to see if there's anything coming up, although I doubt it will be anything for today. But to me, that this is something that could, it has my attention. It doesn't look like it's going to do anything, but it does have my attention.
Okay, guys, I put the secret giveaway link in the and the code in the comment section, so make sure that you check out the pinned comment in the comment section.
There's someone here who think I might be, or I might be like another person. I will assure you I'm not. I don't even know who Kakashi is. Wish him all the best, but I'm not. Sorry to disappoint. Let's see. I'm looking for questions here. Beg your pardon?
That's Naruto, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. I wasn't meant as rude.
I have no idea, but I googled, and that's what I get from Google. Yeah.
Is Kakashi a trader?
Let's leave it. Let's leave it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was some Japanese trader. I have no idea.
No, it's a trader. It's a trader. It's back in the 17th. Is in the 17th you had a prop firm called Naruto Holdings, and the CEO was Kakashi, one of the best. Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. To be fair, I did imagine it would be someone Japanese.
Oh yeah, he's definitely Japanese. He's definitely Japanese.
Yeah, and so I have no idea what person.
He also founded the Ninja Trader platform.
Oh really? Oh, so he's
I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
it's
you're pulling my leg.
I'll show you after the live stream.
Okay.
That was fun. I was gonna see if how long I could hold that, but to keep that up. But yeah, I couldn't. Sorry. That was fun though. It was fun. Jim Simmons though, he made 60% annual return on average. That's pretty insane. That's pretty insane. But I think we talked about that last week, but I thought about that this morning. I'm like, because I saw something on Twitter, someone writing about how, you know, someone said like, oh, I made 15% last year, and I'm like, oh, that's decent. I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's definitely okay. And then someone saying like, oh, I make 15% in a week, and then I thought about it. Well, okay, let's compound that. What would 15% in a week be, right? And then thinking about the fact that the best ever is, you know, Jim Simmons, who had 60% annualized return. And then you look at like Warren Buffett having like 25 or something like that. It kind of puts things into perspective.
I see.
Really
well,
does.
yeah, the thing is, anyone can make, well, not anyone, but it's possible to make 50% on, you know, any given week. I mean, that's not completely that difficult, but to be able to do that week in, week out, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's whoever thinks that's going to happen doesn't have a lot of experience in the market, because it's if you're winning 50% in a week, that means you're taking huge risk, and sooner or later that risk is going to come back and bite you, and you're going to be down, 60-80% your capital with that kind of risk. So return and risk, they go hand in hand.
Yep,
yeah
will do.
that you don't that's not responsible money manager.
Are you done with your
yes
analysis? Okay, let me.
Yeah.
I want to move. Someone is mentioning ICT here. You know what? I'm not gonna mention ICT in the Robbins Cup and everything. Like, I'm done with that. You guys know, like, it's incredible developments in the trading industry last few weeks when it comes to ICT. Yeah, okay, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna switch over to my chart here. And okay, so we have a possible trade here. NCD HF. What I'm looking at is, I'm looking at a level here that's been used rather frequently as support. And if we go to the 4-hour, we do have the exact structure that I'm looking for, and that is basically this right here, where we have price comes down at the high time frame level, starts forming, a reversal pattern right here. And then now, if this candle, the candle that we're currently printing, if this candle can close here, then we have a trade, and that trade looks like probably something like this. That's going to be the trade up to the FTA. It's probably going to be down here. But that's going to be the trade. Hopefully that happens. We'll see. I'm going to put an alert up here. It's probably not going to happen though. It's probably just going to use this level as resistance and start moving lower, like it always does when price hits. Not always, but I remember when I started. Trading, and so many times, like, it's ridiculous. So many times I would buy resistance just because I thought it's going to break out. Like, I remember that was a major issue. And sometimes when you think that trading is difficult, when you think that what you're doing, it's difficult, and you're not really sure you're going to make it, you're making all these mistakes, remember what you did 6 months ago. Or for me, I remember what I did 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, I had that feeling when it's like, I can get that feeling today as well, where I'm like, why do I keep making the same mistake? But back in the past, the mistakes I did back then is just something I would never ever do today. Like, for example, I would just buy here because I think it's going to break out. So I'm going to buy here. I'm going to put my TP here, and then I'm going to put my stop loss here. And it's like, it comes down, hits that stop loss, and I'm like, why, again, same mistake over and over again. So I think it's a very good practice to compare yourself to a previous version of yourself, not someone else, but definitely I think just going back it's going back 6 months and compare yourself with who you were 6 months ago is going to be make all the difference. Okay, I feel like I'm running out of things to say, so let's see if we can find something interesting in the comments section.
I believe this is the image that came to mind to that person, right? And I was thinking you guys.
Yeah, you
were
look
actually
exactly
talking,
like him.
I thought you guys were talking seriously about Ninja Trader, and but it's a ninja from a manga. You guys were pulling my leg alive. Good for you. I suppose it's something. I suppose
Yeah,
it was
and you
something.
really fell for it. I'm like, I wonder how far I can take this, I wonder, like, I was starting to think, like, yeah, and he worked for the 5ers back in the day, like something like that. You would be like, all right. It was fun. But yeah, you look exactly like him. You gotta do something with the eyes, though. You gotta
Put some contacts
go
in.
out and fight a bear. Get into a fight. You come back tomorrow and your eyes are all red.
Yeah. Put on some headbands. Sure, I can put up my. Yeah, sure, I can pull it off. No, I suppose it's something easily recognized for people who are manga lovers, or maybe it's a generational thing as well, because I didn't know this character, so I thought that for real it was some hedge fund
Wait,
from
Victor,
Japan.
you have no idea who this. You never heard about you never heard about Naruto before.
I've heard that name, and I know it's something in that corner, but I if you ask me to tell you something about it, I wouldn't be able to form one
Yeah, no,
sentence.
I'm with you. I have no idea. I don't watch like cartoon, but like
I know it's big for a lot of people, and it's cool.
Okay.
But no, so that's why I didn't recognize anything. But great stuff. I love it when we have the audience are their how do you say this? Their imagination is being sparkled by things we say on the live stream.
Yep. Okay, guys, I want to make sure that we're on time with the. It is cartoon. How can you not say that it's cartoon? Like it is cartoon, right? Like what's cartoon? Look at the definition of cartoon. Right? It's like saying, trading without the plan is not gambling, and it's.
I don't know. Yeah, it depends on the definition. I'm not an expert on that field, but I suppose cartoon is being seen for children, and anime is for bigger children.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't mean it. I mean it's a good thing. I think as adults, you need to keep that child in you alive. And I think I'm
gonna get so much hate from this episode. We probably stick to technical analysis. Apparently, there's a lot of fans, cartoon fans amongst us. It's not for children, though. It's definitely not for children.
No, anime isn't. But what I mean is that as adults, we're it's very tempting, or not empty, but daily adult stuff pressure makes it very difficult to keep in touch with our inner child. And things like anime or any other stuff, hobbies we like that from the outside may have, people might not understand. I think they're very great because they keep you in touch with that inner playful version of yourself. And I think that's the same thing as with imagination. As we grow older, we tend to not stimulate our imagination as much, because we get more realistic, and that's good as a mature person, but it's also not the best thing. You need to keep in touch with your creative side. Your imagination shouldn't be stumped by
Definitely.
growing up. And I
You know,
think
I'm,
that's
I'm not. Yeah.
it's the same thing. I mean, with storytelling, fiction, sci-fi, all of that, you need that, I think, for to bring things in perspectives. And I like it. Star
Yeah,
Wars
I'm not
and
into that at all, but there's one series that I think is absolutely amazing. That is Full Metal Alchemist. That one is so good. Really, really good series. I think yeah, very nice.
that's
Um,
that's that's the name. full
yeah,
full
Full Metal Alchemist. Really good stuff.
Okay, okay, cool,
Love
man.
that one. Um, okay, so let's I'm gonna start with the giveaways, actually, because I want to make sure that we're on time with today's live trading room. I got a meeting coming up uh, after this one. Okay, where do we have that one? Now I'm saying and fill words like that all the time now. Yeah, exactly. When we don't find any setups, we gotta fill time with something. Here's a question though: if you find a setup you're so confident about that falls outside your trading session, would you take it? I don't have a trading session. My trading session is basically when I'm awake. If I'm awake, then I'll take the trade. Usually from 7. It sounds so good. I'm on the live stream and everything, like, oh, I wake up at 6:30. My trading session starts at 7, and then to 7 in the evening. Like, who am I kidding? I don't wake up at 6:30 every day. Like, some days I sleep in, and it's like I don't even open up the chart until it's like 8. And then I got some stuff to do, and it's like 9. So it's like we're all humans, right? But in a perfect world, I wake up at 6:30. I run 10K, do a couple of push-ups, drink my smoothie filled with nutritions, and I take a glimpse at the chart, take a trade, go to the gym, come back, look at that profit being hit, that TP being hit, take another trade, go out for another 10K run, something like that. But in reality, it's like I wake up, I look at the clock, and I'm like, 5 more minutes. But yeah, my session is basically when I'm awake, which is
But I
yeah,
think it's a great question. I
yeah.
think it's a very good question. What is the relevance of a certain time of the day for your strategy? That is the underlying question here. Does it have? And then the question, of course, is directed to you. Does it does it make a difference what time your setup presents itself, whether or not for your edge? And the question is, of course, we say this all the time, you have to find out for yourself, for your strategy, because some strategies are time sensitive, are dependent of when they happen during the day. Is it during the Asian, New York session, London? Because they will have different profiles of win rate and things like that. And it's very important. I would guess that the majority of the strategies are going to have some effect of the time of the day. But time of the day is a major thing that we need to keep track of when you're when you're doing backtesting, for example. If you notice in my case, for example, I know my trading sessions are New York, basically London, the whole London, including that section where it overlaps New York. And what I've seen
What's going
is,
on? Sorry to interrupt you, but there's definitely some volatility coming in here. Do we have news or anything? Because across the different markets, we're getting some very nice volatility. Volatility is what I'm trying to say, but I can't see that.
yeah,
There's
well, on that,
nothing going on here.
yeah, well, I don't know
Oh,
of
it's a
other
Fed.
markets, but
Oh,
what did you
not the
say?
Fed. Oh, sorry. Nah, I don't know. I'm just interrupting you. Never mind. Go
Okay,
ahead.
no,
Sorry.
the Fed is tonight. The Fed, Waller will be speaking, Governor Waller, but that's going to be in about 3 hours. Well, what is it? 6 hours, 5 hours. So I don't think that's the volatility that buying isn't because of the Fed. Although I don't know if there's someone else saying something.
Big
But
move though.
what we do is, it's a big move, but what we do see is that it is at a relevant area, even though we don't have on EU we don't have any of H4, and on GU we don't have any H4 either. So this is not a setup that I could take. On GU there is that area that I indicated that we want to see things switch, and we don't have any H4 reason other than this order block, entry order block on the quasi. If we go to the H2, there isn't anything there. Only on the H1, but it isn't even closed yet. So we'll have to see if it closes. If it comes back to that area, then possibly you'll have the H4, H1. That's enough for me to go to lower time frames and look for an entry. Maybe go on the 5 minutes and see if there's a quasi right here. And actually there is. But this is against, if this is were to be a beginning, I wouldn't hold this at all for more than a couple of hours, because the H4 hasn't shown us any indication of a reversal. And in absence of the H4 reversing, whatever move that starts here is not going to be a long lasting one. So it'll be something like this. If it comes back, then I can see myself getting long from this area, right? But it really needs to, hasn't closed there yet. If you look at the H1, we still have about 10 minutes, actually 11 minutes and a few seconds for it to close as this. If they were to do this and come back, then yes, there might be a little entry here. And I would be only trading it into this area, and only if it hasn't hit it yet. Because if it has already hit it, then I don't want to be part of it, because I would see that it would be a retest of this H4 order block we have above us, right? If it touches it, I would assume that it's going to go much lower. But if it hasn't touched it yet, then I can see price going to do this before it goes lower, let's say tomorrow or maybe later today, something like this, right, happening. But it has to not touch that H4 order block for me to be interested in this lower entry. You see that sequence is also important.
All right. Great explanation on GU. I would like to move over to the giveaway, because we do have a winner. Oh, sorry, I don't want to. I'm gonna just blur out the last name.
Yeah, the time of the day is very powerful. It can make or break your strategy. I would even tell you so that it makes a huge difference for your order blocks, for your levels to hold, depending on the time of the day. Structures. It's a major thing to keep track of order block. I mean, time of the day. So ideally,
Okay,
you want to have. Go ahead.
One of our long-term viewers. I know you're in the comment right here, so you're the winner. Hamid, is it Hamid,
Nice.
right?
Yes, I believe so. Yes. So if you could confirm What would he need to confirm, Jonatan? The first few letters or the first last letters?
Confirm the last part of your email. This guy actually doesn't live way too far from me. Not in the same country, but not very far away. Pretty cool.
Are these the last part of his email?
Yeah. Could you tell me right the last part of your email? This is the first one. We're only going to be doing two giveaways today. Sorry guys, that's all we have. All we have today. We'll have to come back tomorrow for the next one. Look at NCD CHF. Yeah, he's confirmed. So yeah, congratulations. Nice to have someone who's here, often. So thank you for that. We're doing another giveaway tomorrow, and then we'll see if we potentially will do one on Wednesday where we're gonna give away multiple accounts, but we'll see about that. All right, guys, thank you for joining today. I think this one I really did enjoy this live stream today. I really do enjoy when we go dive deep into the technical analysis side of things. I really do enjoy that. It's crazy how after so many years I still really enjoy these conversations about technical analysis.
Perfect. I appreciate everyone's input and interaction in this stream, especially even though we didn't have that many setups to talk about. I still enjoy being with you guys. I truly do. And you see how authentic we are. We go off the script when we don't have, and the reason is because it's not recorded. That's live. That's how we are. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope I didn't step on anyone's toes. So please join us tomorrow, and who knows, you might be the next winner of an account with us, totally free. Just by spending time with us and hopefully learning in the process as well. So see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Hi guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. Now make sure you like and subscribe, and most of all go into the YouTube and check our other content that we provide here at The 5ers. We'll see you in the next one.